The MVP, the most valuable player. Probably the best individual award you could obtain in sports. Being named the MVP means you're the most valuable, most important, and probably the best player in the league. We all remember the great NBA MVPs, the guys that are legends and have held up that trophy proudly, being awarded for their efforts. But most of the time, it's never just a one-man show. We have voting and races and many different opinions and ideas on who should win this amazing award. We all know the winners of the award, but what about the others that unfortunately weren't rewarded with this honor? You know the saying that nobody remembers second place? Well, I won't allow that to happen. Today, we're going to shine some light on the guys that finished second in the MVP race. Alright, what is up everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today is a very fun video. I'm going to be going through the 2010s and explain the MVP runner-up, the guys that finished second place in the MVP award, to remember the guys that, finished second and weren't unfortunately awarded with the MVP award that season, but still deserve to be talked about and deserve to be loved. Very fun one. So yeah, that's what we're going to get into today. I'm going to go through 2010 to 2019 and all that good stuff today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. Links to my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, sit back, get your popcorn, enjoy this one. And yeah, don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. 2010, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant finished second in the MVP race in 2010 to LeBron James. Kevin Durant was the second overall pick just a few years prior by the Seattle Supersonics turned Oklahoma City Thunder. Durant was one of the top young prospects from high school to his amazing freshman season at Texas, and in his first 2 seasons in the NBA, he showed those same flashes of potential stardom one day. In 2010, Durant took a huge step. It became big time. KD would take over the NBA world this year, becoming a superstar overnight. In just his 3rd season, Durant was reaching levels and doing things that not many people at his age were ever possibly doing. KD finished the season averaging 30.1 points per game, leading the NBA. At 21 years old, he became the youngest scoring champion ever, and the youngest to ever average 30 in a season. He also averaged 7 rebounds, almost 3 assists, a steal, and a block on an efficient 47-36-90 split, and not only played in all 82 games, but led the NBA in minutes played that season. His MVP case was pretty fun. A young star breaking out and becoming one of the best players in the NBA. He could score on all 3 levels with the best of them, rebounding, playmaking, and was good defensively as well, getting it down all over the court. His biggest case, though, was the team performance. In 2009, the Thunder won 23 games and had the 4th worst record in the NBA. In fact, they hadn't made a playoff appearance since 2005 and were one of the worst teams in the NBA in the mid to late 2000s. But in 2010, they would have finished with a 50-32 record, a 27-win increase from the previous year. A lot of it was thanks to KD turning into a superstar. And a lot of people made the case that he was legitimately the most important player to his team in the NBA. Some moments that year. His best game, according to Basketball Reference game score, was on January 31st, 2010 against the Warriors. He finished with 45 points and 11 rebounds, along with 2 assists, 2 steals, while shooting a ridiculous 16 for 21 from the field, while only hitting 2 threes, but making all 11 of his free throws for a win. He had 2 other games of 45 points as well, with 8 40-point games in total, and 47 games with at least 30 points. The reason he doesn't win MVP? LeBron had one in 2009, and he was still very good in 2010. All the advanced numbers and metrics went his way over Durant, and the Cavs finished with the best record in the league at 61-21. While OKC had their big jump, it unfortunately wasn't as rewarded as you would think, as even though they won 50 games, they finished as the 8th seed in the West, and usually MVPs don't go to guys that finish that low. Also, side note, how insane is it that you win 50 games and you get awarded with the 8th seed? Like, the Western Conference was an absolute gauntlet that season. Durant did have his big breakout. What a fun year this was for him and the entire league to get to see him hoop like this. 2011, Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard finished second in the MVP race in 2011 to Derrick Rose. Dwight Howard was one of the most dominant players in the league since he entered in 2005, being a physical monster with his combination of strength, speed, size, and athleticism. He was amazing defensively and was an anchor in the middle for some good Orlando Magic teams. After making a finals appearance in 2009 and coming up just short of making it back there in 2010, 2011 saw some changes with the team. They dealt with plenty of injuries that season, and only 4 players on the team played in more than 60 games, with the players that missed games being guys that were important in the scoring department. Because of this, Dwight had to get a lot more involved on that end of the floor, and it worked out pretty well. In 2011, Dwight not only was great defensively, but took an offensive jump with more on his plate and established himself even more with how dominant he is. He finished the season averaging almost 23 points per game, his best scoring season in his career, while taking the most shots per game of his career and having the most offensive win shares of his career as well. He also finished second in the NBA in rebounds per game at 14 and blocks per game with just under 2.5, while also having almost 1.5 steals and shooting 59% from the field. His MVP case was that he was insanely dominant on both ends of the floor, not only being an amazing defender, as he was awarded with his third straight Defensive Player of the Year trophy this season, but he could also be a main option on the offensive end for a Magic team that still won 52 games despite all the injuries they went through. His best game that season was on January 28th, 2011 in Chicago. He finished with 40 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, and 3 blocks on 14 for 20 shooting, and made 12 of his 16 free throws, but they would end up losing. He had another 40-point game a month later against the Thunder, where Howard had 40 points, 15 rebounds, 6 blocks, and 2 steals while making 16 of his 20 shots in a blowout victory. He had a double-double in 66 of his 78 games played, had 8 20-plus rebound games, 10 games of 5 or more blocks, including an 8-block game against the Wolves, and only had 2 games that season where he didn't record a steal or block. The reason he doesn't win MVP? Dwight had a monster of a season, but a big driving force for winning MVPs is a narrative. While Howard's story was good, it wasn't as awesome as Derrick Rose's. Rose being a young guard that had taken over the league that season, averaging 25 points per game, becoming an NBA superstar, and leading the Bulls to 62 wins at just 21 years old, you couldn't beat that. Dwight was still great that season, and his dominance should not be forgotten in time. 2012, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant finished second in the MVP race in 2012 to LeBron James. After Durant had his first big breakout just a few years prior, he kept getting better and better, and proved to everyone that he is one of the best players in the world. The Thunder had also become a consistently good team, making back-to-back playoff appearances and consecutive 50-win seasons for the first time since the late 90s. Durant was the driving force of that as the face of the franchise. In 2012, Durant would continue to improve in not just his scoring, but the all-aroundness of his game. He finished the season averaging 28 points per game, capturing his third straight scoring title, while averaging career highs in rebounds per game with 8, assists per game with 3.5, blocks per game with over 1, and field goal percentage with over 49.5%, while also averaging 1 steal per game, shooting 38% from 3 and 86% from the line. Once again, not playing in all 66 games that season, lockout year, but leading the league in total minutes played. His MVP case was that Durant was a top player in the league, getting it done all over the court on an OKC team that finished second in the West with 47 wins. Durant was the face of a young team that was consistently improving and becoming one of the top teams in basketball. His best game that season was on February 19th, 2012 against the Nuggets. He dropped 15 points in the fourth quarter, including a dunk to send the game to overtime, and scored 6 in an OT to win the game for OKC, as he finished with 51 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals, while shooting 19 for 28 from the field, 5 for 6 from 3, and 8 for 10 from the line. He had 25 games with at least 30 points, and had 18 double-doubles that season, including a 17-board game against the Wolves where they won in double overtime where he also scored 40. He also had 2 games where he came just shy of a triple-double. The reason he doesn't win MVP? While KD was really good that season, LeBron was even better. He had the Heat on a revenge tour after a disappointing finals loss the previous year. James established himself as the best player on a stacked Miami Heat roster and was the best player in the league at the time, with all advanced numbers and metrics going towards him. If it wasn't for LeBron being LeBron, Durant would have a pretty stacked trophy case, but KD was still recognized as one of the best in the world, and he was still only getting better. 2013, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant finished second in the MVP race in 2013 to, you guessed it, LeBron James. Coming off a finals appearance in 2012, Durant and the Thunder are ready to go back again and continue to improve this young team. Despite them trading away a young James Harden, the Thunder was still poised to be great, and KD was still poised to be a star. In 2013, OKC was amazing, and Durant was as well. They dominated the league, with Durant having an amazing season. KD finished the season averaging 28 points per game with just under 8 rebounds, a career-high 4.5 assists, a steal, and a block, while also shooting an insane 51, 41, 90 split, becoming the 5th player in NBA history to shoot 50, 40, 90 in a season, while doing it on the 2nd most volume, only behind Larry Bird. His MVP case that season, Durant was once again one of the best players in the world. It was not only a scoring machine, but doing it officially on a 50, 40, 90 year while having his best playmaking season, as well on an OKC team that finished with a 60 and 22 record. His best game that season was on January 18th, 2013 in Dallas, where he would score 28 points in the second half and score 7 straight points in overtime to win 117-114, as he finished with 52 points, 9 rebounds, an assist, and 2 steals. He scored 40 or more 6 times that season, including a game against the Lakers with 42, 8, and 5 on 16 for 25 shooting, and was a plus 35 at a 15-point win. He had 3 triple-doubles that year as well. The reason he doesn't win MVP? Well, I believe this is Durant's best case out of the 3 on this list, being the best player on a historic season on a 60-win team. This, unfortunately for him, was LeBron's best case on this list as well. James was insane on both ends of the court, being undisputably the best player in the league, while not only being amazing offensively, but making an amazing argument for Defensive Player of the Year, finishing second in that award, while also leading the Heat to having one of the best regular seasons ever and 66 wins, including a 27-game win streak at one point. Like I said in the last one, if LeBron was LeBron, Durant would be winning these awards like nothing. But Durant was still absolutely amazing, and nothing should be taken away from him because of these second place finishes. 2014, LeBron James. LeBron James finished second in the MVP race in 2014 to Kevin Durant. After winning 4 of the past 5 MVPs, James established himself as the best player in the world and one of the best players in history. James had made a statement in Miami, winning back-to-back MVPs and back-to-back titles in 2012 and 13. In 2014, it was the quest for 3 in terms of both. James was still very good and continued his dominance. LeBron finished the season averaging 27 points per game with almost 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and over 1.5 steals while shooting a career-high 56% from the field, along with 38% from 3 and 78% from the line. Still no more LeBron numbers for what he was doing with the Heat. His MVP case was simply enough. He's LeBron. Putting up similar numbers and stats to the previous few years, still looked at as the best player in the league, and they won 54 games that year. His best game that season was on March 3rd, 2014 against the Charlotte Bobcats. He would finish with 61 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists, while shooting 22 for 33 from the field, 8 for 10 from 3, and 9 for 12 from the line on a win. He had 31 games of 30 or more points, a 17 point, 10 rebound, 12 assist triple-double against Detroit, and also had 60 games of shooting at least 50% from the field. The reason he doesn't win MVP? Well, you can make an argument that LeBron could win MVP basically any year around this time, and didn't do anything too much differently than what he was doing in the previous 2 years while still winning a lot of games. Voters fatigue definitely was a thing for this year, but also, Kevin Durant was an absolute monster that season. After finishing runner-up in 3 of the past 4 years, he would make sure that he finally got one. He averaged 32 points a game that year, with all the advanced metrics going towards him, and led OKC to 59 wins that season. Durant definitely deserved it this year, but James was still very good. And it was LeBron. He'll be fine. 2015, James Harden. James Harden finished second in the MVP race in 2015 to Steph Curry. James Harden was a big piece of the early 2010s OKC Thunder, including winning the Sixth Man of the Year award in 2012 on a Thunder team that reached the NBA Finals. After that season, Harden was in negotiations on his rookie extension, and with the Thunder being sort of stacked with Durant, Westbrook, Ibaka, and more, Harden was the odd man out. Sam Presti, the Thunder's GM, didn't give Harden what he wanted, as they seemingly didn't want to pay a lot of money to a guy that wasn't even a starter. He was dealt to the Houston Rockets in 2013 and was given the keys to the franchise. After turning into an All-Star and All-NBA player in his first 2 years in Houston, Harden would really turn it up in 2015. James Harden became a legitimate superstar, one of the top players in the game. He finished the season averaging career highs all across the board. He averaged almost 27.5 points per game with 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and almost 2 steals per game. His MVP case was that he was an offensive machine with his elite scoring and playmaking ability on a Rocket team that was supposed to be good, but was even better than expected with 56 wins. Harden was really turning the corner, becoming one of the premier guys in the league. His best game that season was on April 1st, 2015 against the Kings. He dropped 17 points in the third quarter and 10 in the fourth quarter to win, finishing with 51 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals, while shooting 16 for 25 from the field, 8 for 9 from 3, and 11 for 13 from the line. He had another 50-point game against the Nuggets along with 10 rebounds and a win. He had 10 games of 40 or more points, 35 games of 30 or more points, 18 games of 10 or more assists, and 4 triple-doubles. The reason he doesn't win MVP? While Harden did break out on a really good team, this also was the year that Steph Curry decided to show the world who he was. He really became a superstar in the league, while even though Harden had better numbers, Steph's shooting ability and the way he played the game made waves to the NBA world. And the biggest reason was the Warriors winning 67 games and surprisingly becoming one of the top teams in basketball. This was a great year for Harden and he had a good case, but you can understand why he was second. But don't worry, this is only the beginning for the beard. 2016, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard finished second in the MVP race in 2016 to Steph Curry. Kawhi Leonard made a name for himself back in 2014. Winning Finals MVP on an amazing Spurs team that defeated the Big Three Heat in the Finals. He was a project pick back in 2011, being a defender with some good physical traits that the Spurs believed they could develop. After becoming a starter in 2013, winning Finals MVP in 2014, winning Defensive Player of the Year in 2015, 2016 was the year where Kawhi would break out. With most of the core of the Spurs getting older and not having too much time left, it was time for Kawhi to take the torch. In 2016, Leonard became a name in the league, making the All-Star team and taking a big jump. He averaged a career-high 21 points per game, along with 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block, while shooting a very efficient 50-44-87 split. His MVP case was that Leonard took a great jump, going from being an elite defender with some offensive game to becoming one of the best two-way players in the league. While Leonard doesn't have amazing statistics and probably the worst stats for a guy that finished this high in the award, he would impose his will in his own way. He won Defensive Player of the Year for the second season in a row, while being an efficient and effective number 1 option on an elite Spurs team that won 67 games. His best game that season was on April 2nd, 2016 against the Raptors. In a close game, he would drop 14 points in the fourth quarter to win the game, finishing with 33 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block, while shooting 10 for 17 for the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and making all 11 of his free throws. He had 2 games where he was close to a 5-by-5 game. He had 25 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and 5 blocks in a win over Denver, and 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, and 3 blocks against Houston. He also had 37 games with a plus-minus of at least +10. He had more games with 10 rebounds than games with a plus-minus of -10 or below. The reason he doesn't win MVP? Pretty simple. The Warriors won 73 games, and Steph Curry had an historic season, averaging 30 points on an elite 50-40-90 shooting season. Nothing that anybody did that year would have even made a conversation for the MVP over Steph. But also thinking personally, let's eliminate Steph and the Warriors from the equation. Does Kawhi get the MVP this year? I would think maybe yes, just because he would be the best player on the best team. But his counting stats and maybe impact definitely would have made an open conversation. Others in the MVP race that season were LeBron finishing third, Westbrook and KD were both in the convo with huge years for OKC, Chris Paul and the Clippers had a great year, James Harden had a big season for the Rockets. Let me know what you guys think would have happened if the Warriors and Steph weren't around like this in 2016. I'd genuinely like to know. 2017, James Harden. James Harden finished second in the MVP race in 2017 to Russell Westbrook. Harden was establishing himself as one of the top players in the league, being one of the premier offensive talents and the leader of Rockets teams that are winning a lot of games. During these years, Harden was really good offensively, but this season, a switch was made. With Harden being a shooting guard for his career with some point guard abilities, Coach Mike D'Antoni decided to give Harden the keys to being the full-time point guard, literally putting the offense in his hands. It was an interesting offense of basically just letting Harden be the guy doing everything, and having everyone around him just be ready to shoot, rebound, and defend. It was an interesting plan that worked out pretty well. In 2017, Harden took another leap in his game, having an amazing offensive season. He finished the year averaging career highs in many categories. He averaged over 29 points per game with 8 rebounds and over 11 assists per game, which led the NBA. His MVP case was that Harden was a literal offense, being the guy that set the table for everything that happened for the Rockets, as he wasn't just taking the most shots and scoring a lot, but also playmaking at a very high level and showing he could be the lead point guard on a team that won 55 games. Harden was ridiculous offensively and really captivated everyone with his game. His best game this season was on December 31st, 2016 against the Knicks. We would have an historic game, with 53 points, 16 rebounds, and 17 assists while shooting 14 for 26 in the field, 9 for 16 from 3, and 16 for 18 from the line in the win. He tied Wilt Chamberlain for the most points scored with a triple-double and became the first player ever to have 50 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists in a game. He had another 50 ball a month later against the 76ers, dropping 51, 13, and 13 in a win. He had 11 games with at least 40 points, 39 games with at least 30 points, 25 games with 10 or more rebounds, 59 games with 10 or more assists, 11 games with 15 or more assists, and 22 triple-doubles that season. The reason he doesn't win MVP? Harden had an amazing case, becoming an offensive juggernaut on a really good team and just couldn't be stopped. But on the other side, we also saw an elite offensive season from Russell Westbrook. This was the first year that Russ was the full-time number one, with KD leaving to Golden State. With a supporting cast that was not great, people expected Russ to probably be good, but I don't know if many people expected just how insane he would be. He did something I don't think anybody thought would be done again, averaging a triple-double for the entire season at 31, 10, and 10, while leading a supposed to be mediocre OKC team to the playoffs. This was one of the funnest and best MVP races I could remember, as it was a real back and forth on who should win, Harden or Westbrook. I personally believe Russ should have won it, and he did, but man was Harden absolutely amazing that season too. 2018, LeBron James. LeBron James finished second in the MVP race in 2018 to James Harden. Years removed after winning 4 MVPs in 5 years, LeBron was still doing what he does. He returned to Cleveland and won their first ring in 2016 in a legendary performance. After losing to the Warriors in the 2017 finals, a huge change came to Cleveland. Kyrie Irving requested a trade, and he was sent to the Celtics in exchange for Isaiah Thomas, who was in the MVP conversation the previous season. Thomas was dealing with a hip injury and would have missed the first few months of the season. The Cavs made some moves to get some names in, but they were all near the end of their careers and it wasn't a great team. But LeBron James would carry this team in a way he hadn't done in a very long time. James was amazing that season, really putting the team on his back and shouldering a very heavy workload. James finished 2018 averaging 27.5 points per game, his highest average since his last season in Cleveland in 2010. He also gave them over 8.5 rebounds and a career-high 9 assists per game, with almost 1.5 steals while shooting 54% from the field, 36% from 3, and 73% from the line, while for the first time in his career, played all 82 games and led the league in minutes played. His MVP case was that LeBron was having one of his best seasons in a long time and carried a not great Cavs team to 50 wins despite all the rapid changes happening throughout the season for them. You can make an argument that LeBron was the most important player to his team that season, and this is probably one of the best and most fun versions of LeBron we've seen. His best game that season was on November 3rd, 2017 in Washington. He finished with 57 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks, while shooting 23 for 34 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 9 for 9 from the line in a win. He had 32 games of 30 or more points, 37 games of 10 or more rebounds, 33 games of 10 or more assists, 52 double-doubles, and 18 triple-doubles, including 2 40-point triple-doubles. The reason he does win MVP, while LeBron was absolutely amazing and really carried his team, Harden was on another level as well. After turning to the heliocentric offense the year prior, Harden continued to master it in 2018, winning the scoring title with 30 points per game along with 8 assists, while leading the Rockets to 65 wins. Harden was undeniable that season, and also was finally awarded with an MVP that he'd been fighting for the past couple years. LeBron was dominant that season though, and this season won't be forgotten for how great it was and the legacy of Bron. 2019 James Harden. James Harden finished second in the MVP race in 2019 to Giannis Antetokounmpo. After finally getting the MVP trophy in 2018, Harden looked to step his game up more the next season. After winning 65 games, but unfortunately coming up one game short of taking out the Warriors, the Rockets needed more. They acquired Chris Paul the previous year, but he got hurt in the series against Golden State. With Paul obviously being a point guard, it slid James back to the 2. But in 2019, they would give Harden more control of the 1, with Paul also missing 24 games that season. Everyone already knew how great Harden was offensively, but I don't know if many expected how much better it could have gotten. James Harden in 2019 put on one of the wildest offensive seasons we have seen in recent NBA history. He put up NBA record scoring numbers that was taking over the world with his playstyle and ability. It was truly special to watch. Harden finished 2019 averaging a whopping 36 points per game, the 7th highest average in NBA history, and highest since Michael Jordan averaged 37 in 1987. He also averaged over 6.5 rebounds and 7.5 assists with 2 steals. His MVP case was that Harden was having one of the greatest offensive seasons in NBA history. He was literally unstoppable and was putting up 30 and 40-point games on the regular. He was scoring like no other while still being a great playmaker and led his team to 53 wins. James Harden was on top of the world and couldn't be stopped. His best game that season came on February 8th, 2019 against the Heat. He brought the Rockets back from down 20 and dropped 17 in the fourth quarter to win, as he finished with 58 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, 4 steals, and a block on 16 for 32 shooting, 8 for 18 from 3, and made all 18 free throws. He had 2 61-point games that season, including a 61, 15, 4, and 5 game in New York. He had 9 games of at least 50 points, which is tied for the 4th most in a season in NBA history. He had 28 games of 40 or more points, tied for the 7th most in a season, and a ridiculous 57 games of at least 30 points, the 12th most in NBA history. He did this while also having 24 games of 10 or more assists, including 4 games with 50 points and 10 assists, and 7 triple-doubles. Harden was a force to be reckoned with. The reason he does win MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo had his huge breakout this season. After winning the Most Improved Player in 2017 and having a really good 2018, he really hit the scene as the top player in the NBA. Not only was he unstoppable offensively, but also a force defensively, as he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year that season while also leading the Bucks to 60 wins. It's interesting looking back on this now, as in the moment while it was happening, I was really rooting for Giannis to get the MVP because of how good him and his team were. But looking back at it now, it's really insane that this historic offensive season that is not something that happens too often doesn't get awarded with an MVP award. Not saying Giannis doesn't deserve it because he definitely did, but this is one of the seasons that we're going to look back on and think, how did Harden not win the MVP? It has to be one of the best seasons of all time that doesn't get stamped with the trophy. And that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Really nice going down memory lane, trying to remember some of these, runner-up MVP, some of these great seasons that maybe could get forgotten about in time. If you want to see more of this, I could do a different ones from the 2000s, the 90s, the 2020s, all that stuff. So if you like this video, let me know down in the comment section below if you want to see more of it. Once again, if you like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.